Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be preparing for my Halloween party. The theme for my party is going to be a voodoo bayou. So I'm going to go kind of for the moss, maybe some Mardi Gras beads, vines, that kind of thing. And also kind of have the house in some green hues. And then in today's video, I'm going to be making a few drinks for the Halloween party, some charcuterie boards, and a pastry. So if you're interested in that, please keep watching. Okay guys, I just wanted to show you the main party area where you get all like the plates and cups and forks and everything. So here, what I did to set this up is first I used base of the creepy cloth. And this was a creepy cloth I put up in my preparing for Halloween video. So if you haven't seen that video, take a look at that. Because that's when I decorated. This is my whole coffee bar area right here. And so what I did, I used the creepy cloth as the base. And then what I did was I took this is the moss garland that I had originally had on my TV stand, and I repurposed it for this area. So I ran the moss garland through here. And then on top of it, I went in with these fairy lights. I have some that are purple and some that are just a white light. So I've got those. And then I got these like Mardi Gras beads on Amazon and added some of those in. And then what I did over here is I took, if you saw my Halloween and fall decor haul, you would have seen these cups. These are the cups that I got from Walmart with the ghosts on them. And what I did was, I found these at Walmart too. These are cute little paper straws with ghosts and skeleton, skulls I should say. And then I just did another one with my forks in it. And then I added this little touch back here, the skull with the crow. I have a couple different signs in the back, just kind of as a nice backdrop. And then when I was at Walmart the other day getting some of my stuff for the party, I grabbed these Happy Halloween plates. And then these also because one of my friends coming over, it's her husband's birthday. So we're gonna use these to plate the cake. Got a little skull back there. I picked up some plastic wine glasses also at Walmart. It was just in their regular, probably like, I guess you would call it the wedding aisle, where they have like wedding supplies. I grabbed these just because if people are inside and outside, I don't want them using glass in case they break it. And then I ordered these on Amazon. I got a pack of, what was it, 8 shot glasses. So I thought these were really cool for some shots. And then I have a couple of pitchers here. My plan is to make a margarita in one and then do a sangria in the other. And I was gonna use this cool wine. Let me show you guys. So I grabbed this wine bottle. I love the Stella Rosa, and I just thought that this bottle was really cool. So grab that. And then I have this skeleton hand holding a candle. And then I'm just gonna have a bowl with chips, and I'm making a spinach dip, so that'll go right here. So this is mainly just the area where you'll have where people can grab plates, cups, and all of that. And I'll actually show you guys this at night so you can see it all lit up, because the moss glowing with the fairy lights looks really cool. And then I didn't mention this, but this was just a tablecloth that I had picked up from Walmart as well. If you can see, it has some baths in it. Okay, and now we're looking into my kitchen from kind of my living room, dining room area. What I did with the help of my boyfriend, we actually strung up some of the black and some of the dark green, like kind of an olive green creepy cloth from the cabinets. And then we went in with, I got these vines on Amazon, and just went in and cut the vines and stuck them through the creepy cloth. What I'm trying to do is kind of create like a woods bayou kind of theme. What I also want to still add in, if we can, is get some Spanish moss and kind of put the Spanish moss throughout this, because I think that that will give it more of the look. But I did want the vines to kind of feel like you're going through the woods because there's just like a lot of vines hanging. So that's what I did here. And then as you can see back here, as you go back, then you see all the Spanish moss hanging off the table over there. And then what I'm gonna do over here is I got this off Amazon the other day. You guys have probably seen it before, but it's the cauldron with the potion bottle. And it just, basically it looks like its potion is running out of it. There was a skeleton in it actually, but I'm using that skeleton for my charcuterie board. So I'll show you guys that in a second here. And then what I did here was I still have the same setup for the mirror area. What I had done was I got these cute bats since I put up my decorating video. Let me actually show you guys this. So the bats light up and there's a bunch of different light settings. I'll show you guys all of this when it's actually dark out so you can see the whole look. But I have those bats that light up. They'll turn off. And then what I did here was I kept the same setup I had from my decorating video. So everything else is the same here. The only thing that I did was I went in with that same strands of leaf or vine, I guess I should say. And I just vined it around this just to kind of incorporate the vines and bring them out from the rest of the room. So that's my entryway table. And then if we go right here, what I can show you guys is this setup right here is, it's not my kitchen island, it's like the peninsula area. And usually when I have parties, this is the area where people congregate around. And so what I had done was I took everything off of my TV stand and incorporated it over here because I feel like this is where people are gonna be hanging out and congregating. So I added in these black flameless candles, my apothecary jars, you see another one there and there. As I mentioned, I'm gonna do a couple of large charcuterie boards. So I've got this big charcuterie board here. This is a skeleton I had mentioned that came with the cauldron. So my plan is, and I'll show you guys this in the video, but I'm gonna kind of have meat coming out of him and just have grapes and meats and cheeses and the whole setup. So we'll have that. And then I also wanted to have a second charcuterie board because I feel like everybody loves the meats and cheeses, and I'll probably have a few little sweet items on there as well. On this one, I'm just gonna use this little skull I found at Walmart the other day. And then here I have my flameless candles in my candelabra, more of my apothecary jars here, more flameless candles. And then what I did was I wove in kind of that moss that I had taken from my TV stand, and I just put that all throughout. And then I added some Mardi Gras beads. And I don't think I've mentioned what my theme was for this yet, but basically because I already had a lot of the ferns and moss and that kind of stuff, I thought, why don't I do a theme of like voodoo in the bayou? I like to have a theme whenever I have a Halloween party. Last year it was kind of like Dracula's castle theme. This year I wanted to incorporate more of the moss and ferns and skulls and all of that. So that's why you see like the Mardi Gras beads and a lot of that moss over there and the vines. So this is kind of like a bayou kind of theme. And then let me show you guys this table over here. So this is my dining room. And what we've got is, again, incorporating things that I had on the TV stand from my witchy apothecary. So I've got my skull and raven, just a regular candle that I got from Dollar Tree, another little raven, another candelabra, incorporated again some of those Mardi Gras beads, a skull that I had in my yard before, another candle, and then this mossy skull if you saw my other decorating video, along with another crow or raven. And then what I'm planning to do with this table, again, same tablecloth, just the longer size here. And then I got this platter. And so what my plan is this is gonna be kind of the dessert table because I'm gonna have charcuterie on the counter, chips and dip over there, my drinks over in the one area. And then over here, my plan is I'm gonna use this platter and I'm making voodoo doll pastries, and I'll show you guys that. I'm using puff pastry dough and I'm filling some with Nutella and some are gonna be filled with cream cheese and guava. So if you've ever had guava pastries, then you know what I'm talking about. So that's kind of what I'm creating, and that kind of goes with the whole voodoo in the bayou theme. And then also over here, I have room because my friend is bringing a birthday cake since it's her husband's birthday. So let me go ahead and show you the next area. Okay, and then in here, now we're in my guest bathroom. And so I left everything up that you had seen if you've seen my Halloween or fall decorating videos. I left that. I thought it was okay with what I was doing. What I went ahead and did on these floating shelves, again, I added in the vines. So I have the vine going across here, and then I have the vine going down across this shelf. What I also added in, if you can see, I added in, these are the purple fairy lights. They just add a little bit of a glow, but it looks really cool at night. And then I have a little bit of creepy cloth right here. If you saw my Halloween decorating, the boo was already there. And then I added this lantern because I thought it would look cool with a little bit of candlelight. So it's just an LED tea light inside. And then again, more vines coming down. And then what you've got here is on the light fixture above, I just put some black creepy cloth. I hung, again, a couple of the Mardi Gras beads. And then you can see that there's some vine up there at the top. As you can see, the vine is coming down. And then I put creepy cloth over the mirror. So you can see that. And then here, let me get you this angle right here. So you can see the vine going down and coming over. And then what I also did was I added this Madame Fortuna fortune teller here. I used to have a fall wreath, so I took that down to decorate this for Halloween. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is I have these Govee lights that I put to replace the lights I normally have in the kitchen here. That one I actually have to change the color on because it should not be white. I want it to actually be green like this one. And I had also added a green light over here in this chandelier. So that hanging lamp will also have a green light. The plan is to have green lights all throughout. So I got one of these lights, and if you guys know what these are, they're supposed to kind of put like ocean waves on your ceiling. So I found a pack of 2 of these on Amazon, and the plan is to put them above the kitchen cabinets because it puts kind of like green waves on the ceiling. So it adds to the atmosphere in the kitchen. And then, like I said, we're gonna have green lights in around the TV, over the dining table, and then the little light that I have on my sofa table. And then we'll have these. And that should be enough lighting aside from the candlelight. That way we keep it very cohesive. It's basically all green light except for those little tiny purple fairy lights. So the next thing I'll show you guys is the food that I'm gonna prepare, the drinks I'm gonna prepare, and then I will give you guys a quick walkthrough once it's dark, once we have all the lights on, right before the party, and I'll let you take a peek at my costume. This year I'm going to be a vampire. I was one last year. I didn't really plan ahead, so I'm gonna be a vampire again. All right, so one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get started on preparing my charcuterie boards. I'm making 2 for tonight's party. The first board, I'm just gonna use this wooden board here with this skeleton. And so he's gonna be kind of the main focal point on the board. So I'm gonna lay him right there. And then I'll just show you an overview of all the things I got for the boards. So I got this 4 cheese tray. It has cheddar, Colby, Monterey Jack with jalapeno peppers, and Swiss. And then I got an extra sharp cheddar. Those are slices. I grabbed a Gouda cheese. I grabbed a plain goat cheese. We're gonna use some Kalamata olives. I grabbed a package of some grapes. And then I've got salami, pepperoni. I got a pack of fig preserves because I feel like that'll go really great with the goat cheese to pair that together. And then we have to have a little bit extra sweet. So I got dark chocolate and sea salt caramel Dove chocolates. We'll put some of those on the boards. Also, gotta have some Boo Oreos. And then I grabbed a few different crackers. So this one that has Harvest Wheat, Classic Buttercrisp, Rosemary Olive Oil, and then I got some wheat thins with tomato and basil. Thought that would pair nice as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I did get an inspiration picture from Pinterest, so I will share that with you guys too. That's where I got the idea of putting the skeleton in the center. And in the picture I'm looking at, he has some meats right here around his chest, and then some grapes down here. And so I'm just gonna kind of play with it and use that as my inspiration. I'm not gonna copy it exactly, but it gives me a good starting point. So let's see. I think I'll start with some fig preserves. And I'm just gonna go ahead and use this little bowl. And because I'm doing all of this ahead of the party, I'm gonna get an idea of what areas I'm saving room for the crackers, but like the crackers, the Oreos, that stuff, I'm not gonna add till right before the party, because what I wanna do is get the charcuterie boards together and ready, and then just wrap them up and put them in the fridge. That way I don't have to do this right before the party when I'm getting my makeup and my costume on. So put a good amount of fig preserves. And I think I'm gonna go right about here. Maybe shove him over a little bit. There we go. That'll work. And then I think what we'll go in with is, let's go ahead and get some of these grapes. And I think I want to add some grapes kind of by the fig preserves. Let me get some grapes washed. So let's go right about here with the grapes. That looks good. I think what we'll also do, I'm gonna save some grapes for the other charcuterie board too, but we'll add a little bit more. Let's add some grapes down here. Maybe a couple more. So we'll set that aside for our other tray. Set those aside. And then let's take some of the cheese slices here. So I'm gonna go in with the sharp cheddar, or the extra sharp cheddar. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of start right here and start adding some of these slices coming off of him right here. So we've got a few slices in there. I think that's good for this board on those. And then let's go ahead and add some of these slices here where I have the 4-pack. What cheese do I want? Because I can put some of the other cheese. I think I'm not going to put like all the types of cheese on this board since I do have 2 boards. So I already have the extra sharp. How about we do a little bit of pepper jack maybe. So I think I'm going to go in. Where do I want to go with this? Oh, you know what? I think actually these are kind of bigger slices. So I'm gonna grab a knife and just cut those down to be squares. Let's see where I want to go. So we'll do some pepper jack right here. And I think I'm just gonna kind of curve these to make it like a little bit more interesting. Like that. Okay, so I think we're good with the sliced cheese on this one. Maybe, yeah. Then, I think what we need is we need a little bit of chocolate. So with the chocolate, where do we want to go? I think I'm gonna add some chocolates in right here. So I'm just gonna unwrap these and place them on the board. I'm just gonna do probably a couple piles of these Dove chocolates. Use whatever kind of chocolates you want. I went with the dark chocolate and sea salt. I feel like a lot of people like the dark chocolate and it'll pair well with the cheeses. So I'll do the little pile of chocolates there, and then I think I'll add a few chocolates in another spot as well. Let's maybe go in with some chocolates right here. think that's a good amount of chocolate there. Okay, so now chocolate, grapes, fig spread, extra sharp cheddar, pepper jack, and then our grapes. So let's see what else we want to add. I gotta remember to save room for the crackers. So I think we're gonna probably add, I'm gonna probably add some crackers, maybe here and here. I also on one of the boards want to have Oreos. I don't have to have it on both. Let's see. So we want to still have more cheese on here, and then I'll get to the meats. So I think so now I'm going to open the package of goat cheese. And I'm not going to use a whole log on this tray. I think what I want to do is cut a chunk of it since I have a lot of stuff that I'm adding to the tray. Oh, it's kind of falling apart. Where do I want to have that? I think I might add the goat cheese right here. And then I'll add some more of the goat cheese to the other board. I do still feel like I want to cut up some chunks of Gouda for the board, and then also add the not grapes, but the olives too. So maybe we'll get something to put some olives in. So I'm gonna add another little thing here with olives somewhere. Where do I want to put my olives? Maybe I'll go right here with the olives. So now I'm going to go in and add some of my Kalamata olives over here. I think I'm going to kind of move these grapes around here. That should be good. Oh. Probably messing them up now because I wanted to get rid of that stem. It didn't look very attractive, so I'm trying to make the board look pretty. Okay, now we've got all that. I think the other thing, I'm gonna go in with some Gouda and cut some chunks of this and add some chunks of the Gouda. And then we're gonna start adding some meat inside because I still have to save room for crackers on the board. So let's go ahead and get some cheese cut. I normally would just get out a cutting board, but I'm like, I have my charcuterie board right here, so I think I'll just go ahead and cut right on it. So I'm just gonna actually dice these into cubes, just so that everything's not cracker slices. these are gonna be kind of small chunks, but it's okay. Where do I want to pop them? Maybe right here. Some of our little chunks of Gouda down here. I think that looks pretty nice, and then that way we have room for crackers probably right here, and maybe stick some in here, and then do some meats here. So since I have room on a second tray, we'll get started with our meat. So I think I'm gonna go in with some pepperoni first. I'm gonna reference my inspo picture. Yeah, so they kind of just rolled the pepperoni up in the picture and put it there. So I think we'll try to do that. Okay, let's see how we're gonna do this. So I think they just kind of went like that. Put a little in his chest cavity, like so. And then we're just gonna have that kind of falling out of there. So we'll go in with this, and then we'll go in with some salami after. Put a little bit right there too. Well, there. All right. So I feel like we have a good amount of pepperoni. So let's go in with our salami. So I got some hard salami here. Honestly, just go in with whatever meats you like. I feel like whenever I do a charcuterie board, the pepperoni and the hard salami are the ones that get eaten the most. So I stopped doing some of the other Italian meats. This is smelling so good. I feel like digging into my charcuterie board already. And so just fold them up like that so they look kind of pretty. And I feel like the skeleton actually kind of helps hold it together, so it works really nice. Because I can tuck the salami or pepperoni right here against the skeleton. I don't know if I like the way that that one looks there. Add this in here like that. Okay. So I think that's good with the salami and pepperoni. And then we'll just kind of tuck some Oreos and crackers in at the last minute, so I don't want it to get mushy. I'm wondering if I should add a little bit more of any of the cheeses here, the siding. Because we'll go in with crackers here, I think, some crackers here, and then I have those two kind of empty spots of that, yeah, and I need to save room for like Oreos somewhere too, unless I just do the Oreos on, maybe I'll just do the Oreos on the other board. I'm wondering if I should just add a little bit of chocolate over here, and maybe cheese chunks on the one side. Maybe that's what we'll do. I feel like you just gotta play with it and just add little things here or there where it feels like you've got a gap. So add some little chunks of chocolate here. Again, gonna go in with this. I think I have, yeah, I have enough to use on the other board as well. So those two pieces, I feel like filled that out. And then maybe I'll just do a little bit more of the Gouda chunks in that one empty spot right there. I think that looks pretty. So we'll leave this space, like I said, for some crackers. So we definitely are gonna need that. So this is tray number 1, and we'll get the other charcuterie board. All right, so we're gonna get started on the second cheese board. This one I'm gonna go ahead and use my marble cheese board, which is quite a bit smaller than the wooden one, but I feel like I already have so much on that board. We do not need a second huge board. So on this one, I wanna add a touch of Halloween, so I got this skull from Walmart, and I got the idea after I got it that I could use it as his head and put it right in the top of the board, and then kind of build it out. My idea is make it kind of like his body is here, so I'm gonna go in with probably like pepperoni and salami in the center. So this one I'm not really going off of anything I saw on Pinterest. I'm just gonna kind of play around with it and see what works. So let's get started. So I think on this one, unlike the other, let's just go ahead in with some salami and pepperoni and get started with that. And again, just kind of roll it up like this into the little rosettes. Sometimes it's hard to get it to stay. He keeps falling apart. And I'm just kind of layering it, not really a whole lot of rhyme or reason to what I'm doing here. So feel free to just be creative with how you roll this up. Do like another piece of salami. I think we'll move on to some pepperoni and then start adding some things around his chest here. So I'm kind of making it look like that it's like his rib cage or something. Another one. So I think we're good with salami. Let's go ahead and add in some pepperoni. Trying to get them to stay put is the hardest part here. Okay, so I think that's good with the pepperoni, salami. I think we're gonna go back in with some more grapes. So let's go ahead and wash some more grapes. Let's add some grapes right there. And I think I kind of want to just add grapes a few different places and build around the grapes, I think. And just add a few more grapes here. Okay, I think that looks pretty. Well, we only have a few more grapes, so we might as well go ahead and add them to the board. Those washed and add them. Okay, I got the grapes. Then let's add some of these cheeses. And I think we did not add Swiss, Colby, or the mild cheddar to the other one. So let's add some of these different cheeses on this board. I'm just gonna again do them like a cracker cut. Let's see, where do we want to go? I think I'm gonna start down here. Add a little more Swiss down here. Oh, there goes the grape. Okay, so we have a little Swiss there. Let's go in with a little bit of Colby. Slice that up for the crackers too. Trying to decide if I like that. I don't really like it. I think I'm gonna put these up here and curve it down. Okay, and then we're gonna go in with a little bit of cheddar. Whoops, there go grapes. No, grapes went rolling away. And you can be as creative as you want. I'm doing this in a very basic way, but I've seen people use cookie cutters to cut out their cheese slices. So if you wanted to make them ghosts, pumpkins, whatever, that would be really cute too. But I just feel like the addition of the skull, or in the other case, the skeleton, is really enough to give it a little bit of a Halloween and festive touch. So we're gonna keep it at that. Let's add some more chocolate. And I think on this board we may actually save a little bit of room for Oreos, because we didn't save room on the other board for that. So let's go in up here. I'm gonna add a little bit of chocolate on the edge because we have that empty spot right there to fill, I feel like. And then, let's see, I think I want to add a little bit of goat cheese on this one as well. Or do I want, actually, let's do some Gouda chunks real quick and add those somewhere. And I gotta keep reminding myself to save space for the crackers. It's hard when you're building this in advance to remember that you need plenty of room to add in crackers to your board, so. Where do I want to add these? Maybe right here. when I was originally coming up with like what I wanted to add to my boards and how I was going to decorate them, I was actually thinking about the little mini pumpkins. So that's another option if you don't want to do skulls. The mini pumpkins would look really cute on the board too. And I'm trying to get all this stuff, all the prep work, all the food and drinks ready early in the day, because not only do I have to get myself ready and get my makeup done, but I'm also going to do hopefully a good job on my boyfriend's makeup for his Halloween costume, because he's going to be a skeleton and I've never done a skeleton face, so that should be interesting. If it turns out good, I will show you guys the final result, or maybe even doing it. So let's add some more chocolates in here. And then I had to decide if I want to add goat cheese, and I think I might just add goat cheese. I have the fig spread on the other board, so I don't feel like it's necessary to add that on this board too. So I think maybe just a little bit of goat cheese, and then the rest of the room for crackers and Oreos. And then I think what we'll do next is prepare the margaritas and sangria. And I know that's really quick. I probably could do it right before the party, but I just want to be as organized as possible so I can just relax tonight. And I think that's a key tip for you guys. If you're hosting a Halloween party, definitely do as much of the prep work as you can in advance, as far in advance as you can, so that you're not stressed and running around like right before the party, because that's what I did to myself last year, and it wasn't as fun as it could have been. So, all right, so we added some more chocolate there. Let's add a little bit of goat cheese. And do a little chunk of the goat cheese right here. Okay. There we go. I feel like that looks pretty good. I will show you guys the final result later today when I add the crackers and or Oreos in, so that way you can get like a good look at what it will look like in the end. Okay. I'm gonna get started on the party drinks for tonight. So one of the drinks I'm making is just basic margaritas, but I'm gonna use some green food coloring because it's gonna be called Swamp Water, just to go with the whole Voodoo Bayou theme. So I'm gonna start off with some margarita mix. I just have this organic trace agaves. My boyfriend gave me this tequila to use. Apparently, I didn't know it was a fancy tequila, but it was something that he won at his work Christmas party last year. So we're gonna try it. Normally, I probably wouldn't use such an expensive bottle of tequila. I've got my pitcher, so we're gonna have this sitting in the fridge to chill. And then I've got some limes. That way we have some limes with the tequila, with the margaritas. So let's go ahead and get started. I should probably not have had the cutting board there. All right. So I'm going to add my margarita mix, or you could make your own mix, obviously. And then with the tequila, we'll go ahead and add that. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it to probably about here, because we want kind of a 2-to-1 mix. And I would make more margaritas, but we're also gonna have some sangria and shots and other things, so I think that's pretty good. We'll put it together to blend. I'm gonna add some green food coloring. Let's see how this looks. I think I want to go a little bit greener. Okay. I think that's probably going to be enough. Maybe just a little darker. And obviously, like if you are not going with a theme like mine, just leave out the food coloring. Or another cool thing could be if you wanted it to kind of look like more like a blood color or something like that, you could always add some red food coloring if you want to go that direction. Okay, so now I have my margarita mix, or my margaritas mixed up. I'm gonna go ahead and slice some limes up. And so I'm just gonna slice it so these can go on the rim of the glass. So I'm just gonna slice them into slices like that and do the little cut on it. And I think I might just add a little more lime juice in here. Just, I love a little fresh lime in the margaritas. All right, and then if you wanted to, you could put out salt or sugar for the rim, but I just feel like we don't really need that, so we're just gonna do the margarita, and the next thing I'm gonna work on is getting my sangria ready. So we'll do the sangria next. So next up, I'm going to make what I'm calling my voodoo curse. I actually got creative and I grabbed out some sticker letters, and I put this on my picture that I'm gonna use tonight. So I'll let you guys see that. And then I'm gonna use a Stella Rosa wine, and this is gonna make a sangria. So this is a Stella Rosa black. So for the base, I will just pour that here in my pitcher. I feel like this is a perfect color for a Halloween drink. And this is a semi-sweet wine. And then inside of this, I'm gonna put some apples. So let's go ahead and get those sliced up. This will make it easier. And I think 1 apple is good for this sangria. I think that's definitely enough. It adds a nice touch. You could also add like an orange, like especially like a blood orange would look really good in this. But I did forget to get any citrus other than the limes, which I ended up using all of those for the margarita. So this will have to do. I'm not going to the store tonight, so. And that's it. That is my voodoo curse. So the next thing we're gonna make for the party is gonna be using some puff pastry. So I got this puff pastry. I got 2 of these just in case. I have some Nutella. I have some guava paste and black writing gel. And you're probably wondering, what are we making with this? And also another thing you will need is a gingerbread man cookie cutter, whatever size you want. This is probably the preferable size. And what I'm going to be making, I found the idea on Pinterest, and since mine is kind of a Voodoo Bayou themed Halloween party, I'm doing little voodoo dolls that are filled with guava paste or Nutella. So I'm gonna do some Nutella, some guava, and it's all gonna be inside of a puff pastry, so they're little mini individual pies. And I'm hoping that these turn out tasty. And then at the end, after this bakes, I'll show you the process, then we're gonna use the black writing gel to just kind of draw some designs and X's on them. So I'll show you that as we go, just so you know what we're gonna be making here. So first time making this, and I'm hoping they turn out as cute as Pinterest, but you know how that goes. Sometimes you get the idea on Pinterest and it's a lot harder than it seems, but this looked like an easy process. So if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm just gonna roll it out a tiny bit, just kind of smooth it out. Obviously it's already rolled out and the dough is ready to go. And again, this is one of those projects where you really could use any type of cookie cutters. You could even do something for Christmas, like with Christmas trees, snowmen, angels, like whatever, even the gingerbread men. So what we're gonna do first is, now that I think that's good enough, our dough is rolled out, then we are going to, let's say the best way to do this, but I think it's probably going to be like this. So we're going to use this cookie cutter, and I want to waste as little dough as possible because obviously we want to be able to make as many as we can. See if we can get him out of here. And actually, let's do this. Move a few things out of the way. I'm gonna move him on to my wax paper. And you could either use puff pastry dough or you could use pie crust. Because I've seen recipes where they use the pie crust instead of the puff pastry. The reason I really wanted to do the puff pastry is if you've ever had like guava pastries from Cuban or like Puerto Rican bakeries, they always use puff pastry dough for their guava pastries. So I kind of wanted to do that. And what you're gonna have to do is you have to remember that one of the gingerbread men you cut out is going to be for the bottom and one's going to be for the top. So you need 2 of these per each little individual pie. So because what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your stuffing in between. So first I'm just gonna cut all these out and just make sure that I have pairs. And I may have to get my second dough out just because I think that one dough is not gonna make very many. At least to size pastries that I'm making. Okay, so we got 2 right there. No, that one's coming off a little bit rough. It can be the bottom. I feel like if you have one that's not coming off very well, just use it as the bottom because no one will see it. Okay. So far we're basically at 2 of the little voodoo dolls. And that's almost using half of the 1 roll of pastry. So you will, if you're buying puff pastry dough, you're probably gonna have to buy a few packs depending on how many you wanna make. And the one tip I will give you is be really gentle when you're taking it off, because as the dough warms up, it definitely is a little bit difficult to manage. Oh yeah, that one got a little misshapen. You definitely have to be careful. But it'll still give the idea. So, all right, so I'll cut one more out and then I'll start showing you the process of putting these voodoo dolls together. Now that this is gonna make about, yeah, so it's probably about 4 voodoo dolls per roll of the pastry dough, unless you can kind of roll it out again and get more out of the excess. But I don't know how well that's gonna work, so we're gonna try to just work with the original roll of pastry dough. All right, think I came off a little bit better. Okay, so now what we're gonna start doing, let me show you the idea here. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your bottom one. So let's see, we've got 6, so there's 3 dolls. So I think we'll do a Nutella one first. Get this open. You guys can't see because he's off screen, but one of my dogs just came in the kitchen as soon as I opened the jar of Nutella. He's like so interested in drooling over here. So. Oh, so is my other one now. They're both like, what are you making? Feed us. So what you're gonna do is with the Nutella, or like whatever you wanna use, you could use a jam, a preserve, like anything that you like for filling. Whatever sounds good to you pretty much would work in here. So I went with, obviously, like I said, Nutella, and then the guava. So you're just gonna kind of like fill it, spread it around. Whoops. And you don't need a ton of it, but just enough to kind of fill it. Ugh, I think I need a knife. I thought a spoon was gonna work easily for me, but the knife is gonna be better. So yeah, just spread it all throughout. You don't wanna get too much in just because you don't want it seeping out when you bake these. So just spread it nicely throughout, like so. Okay. Okay, so what you're gonna do is then, once you have one filled out with your jelly, jam, chocolate, Nutella, whatever you want to use, you're going to place the other pastry sheet on top, like that. Okay. Then the next part you're going to do is you want these to adhere to each other, so you can either just pinch it down with your fingers, or you're going to use a fork to go around the pie and basically just press it together, like so. Okay, I think those are adhered pretty good. Hopefully they stick together. But I'm trying not to be too much of a perfectionist on it because it is supposed to look like a voodoo doll, so I feel like it doesn't have to look perfect. Okay, so the other thing, you can do this, but you don't have to, is the knife here. Let's see. You can do something like this. And do like an X across right there. And some of the chocolate or guava will kind of seep out. You just want to make sure not to go all the way through. But you can do something like that. And I'm going to go and do more designs at the end after these have baked. So let's go in and try another one. And we'll do some guava paste. So now we're gonna just cut a little bit of guava paste and just kind of, I think just add it kind of throughout. Since this isn't like really preserves or jelly or anything, it's not gonna spread as well. And I could have also done cream cheese with this because a lot of times I've had the pastries where it's guava and cream cheese. And so I thought about doing that, but I'm like, you know what, the guava paste is enough, and I kind of want that like red color to seep through where I cut into them. So let's just go ahead and add some of that. And so this one's a little bit more messy just because, like I said, it's not a jelly or preserve that I'm spreading. Okay, that should be plenty for in there. So now, my hands are all sticky. What I'm going to do is add this top layer to my bottom. Okay. And then again, same process. Let's go ahead and go in with the fork or your fingers, whatever you prefer, and do the edges. Okay, so with this one, I think what we're gonna do is another design that I saw on Pinterest, and you're gonna kind of like cut out, I'm hoping that this works out for me. We'll see, it's one of those things you don't know how hard or easy it is till you try. And what they did was cut out like a little heart. Let's see how hard that is. Not too bad. Oh, maybe. It might work better with the pie dough, the pie crust, than it does with the puff pastry. Yeah, it's not working so easily with the puff pastry to cut out the heart. So but you get the idea. So you would just cut a little heart there. And then what we'll do is after these bake, then we'll draw on eyes and some more little designs on them with the black pen. So what I'm gonna do to save time is I'm gonna do the rest of these off camera. I'll show you guys them baked, and then we'll get into decorating them with the black icing after they're cooled. Thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell if you want to get notified for more of my videos. I will be putting out a video for decorating my front yard in a cemetery scene, and also another video for a fall/Halloween movie night. The videos are already filmed. I just have to get them edited, so they should be up in the next couple days to week. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye.